It's been great this week hearing so many stories. Each one of you are a living epistle. Amen. I love the passage in Scripture that reminds us that they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And from that we know that with testimony comes transformation. The Lord uses our opportunities to testify to bring greater transformation in our lives. And so I just want to invite all of you that I've talked with to come forward. We want to hear from you now. I told them that they have no more than 2 minutes, preferably less. And I'm going to pull the plug if they go past that 2 minutes. I've got my timer. All right. So we're just gonna go down the line and hear from each of them, and then they're going to pass the mic.
Okay, hello. My name is Alma Savino. I came from Mexico, and I'm so happy to be here. I've been serving the Lord for around 20 years, and in the end of 2011, we knew about our son that was struggling with SSA, and he left our house. And so in that moment, I asked the Lord, I really prefer to die, but if I don't die today, so now I don't live, it's you living through me, Jesus Christ. So you tell me what you want me to do if you don't want to take me today, because I'd rather be with you. So I started my journey, and fortunately, around 2 years ago, that I was crying out the Lord because He gave me a calling, not only to know what to do, but it was a calling to help. Then I was calling Him, please help me, God, what do you want me to do? And I had in my hands, as a miracle, Deborah Barr's books, and I was like, this is what I need. I contacted her. She invited me. She has been my mentor since that day, and she brought me here. In these days, I just want to tell you that I came maybe thinking I could, probably, but I take to Mexico all your teachings, and mostly a hope. Thank you for all your testimonies. Thank you for your life. Thank you for giving me what you gave me these days. I'm going to be a very good ambassador, I think it's the name. The word in Mexico, it's going to give a lot of fruit, and it's going to multiply. I'm going to do a lot of things over there. I thank all of you, and I thank very much Dee. Thank you for giving me the joy. I really could see the pictures of all the persons. I have a support group for parents, support group for young people struggling, and I could see the pictures of them, and I'm going to take that to Mexico. Thank you so much for the hope I get today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley Floyd, and I'm actually from this area. I go to High Calling Ministries down the street, and I came out of homosexuality 4 years ago, and I did it with just the help of God. I didn't have friends. There was no community. I felt really alone and by myself. But God had asked me to share my testimony, and I told him no for the last 4 years. Well, about a month ago, I decided to share my testimony on Facebook, and it's only because I was obedient to God that I actually got connected to Ron and Fatima, who told me about this event that was happening, and I came here. I said, I gotta be there because the wool was over my eyes. God removed that covering that was over my eyes, because I did not know there was a community this big of people who had gone through the same thing. So now when I even felt alone leaving homosexuality and all my gay friends, I now have a community that I want to be involved with, that I can minister with and actually grow with, and I'm excited to be here and going forward.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eric. This is my beautiful wife, Crystal. We were married in January of this year, and I wanted to share a bit of a testimony of how God has used the Restored Hope Network in my life and consequently in our lives. 3 years ago, I was at a darker place in my journey through same-sex attraction. I had a pastor at a campus ministry who happened to have stumbled across the Restored Hope Network. We are from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which 3 years ago, the Door Christian Fellowship hosted in Lancaster. Pastor happened to have come across the Restored Hope Network, passed it along to me, and I went. As a result, I got connected to the Door Christian Fellowship, met Crystal, and we got married. Marriage is not the end result. It is not the end result out of healing from same-sex attraction. It is a blessing, and it is a testimony of God's goodness in my life. So I want to give a good thanks to the Restored Hope Network for ministering in my life and for providing opportunities. If you are at a place where you're not sure if God can move in your life, I'm a testimony to that. There are so many people who are a testimony that God can take you from very broken places and He can give you such joy. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Grace Harley, and I'm just so excited for what God has done in my life here this weekend. He profoundly touched me last evening to the point that I got upset and was wanting to leave. If I'd had a car, I might have left because I didn't know that there was a place in me that still needed a little healing, a little balm of Gilead. But God has just been profound in my life. In the late 80s, I had a vision, and Jesus said I will be His ambassador. At that time, I was living as a man, doing drugs. My name was Joe. I married a woman in 1978. I mean, I was just out there, but Jesus said I was going to be His ambassador one day. I didn't know what that meant, but what it meant was that on Bill Clinton's birthday, 1992, he was going to usher me out of the transgender gay lifestyle without a trace. No struggle, but I needed a lot of healing. Last evening, the Lord touched me. He let me know when it come to misogynist issues. I was a very extreme male chauvinistic person. I could love a woman to death, but I could also be the worst man she ever met because I had to stand my ground and for whatever reason. But I'm just I was deeply touched last evening. I have a number of things I will be praying about and working on and connecting with that, the feminine self. I'm kind of there, but not there. I can love a woman, but I still keep that distance in a healthy way when I say love a woman and travel with women. And it's all healthy, but nevertheless, I still see them as the women and whatever. Okay. You don't know, but as a transgender person, you maybe can tap into that. But anyway, I'm just so grateful. D-Bar, love you, everybody here. I'm just so excited because, yes, God, it's always something to work on. Don't ever think you come to the end of the road, okay? The onion is forever being peeled, okay? God bless everyone. Love you.
Hi, I'm Reid McGowan, and I'm here with Higher Ground, and I want to thank them for bringing me here for the first time. And I recently left 30 years of homosexuality. It's impossible to condense that into 2 minutes, so I'm just going to go back to when I first had my conversion experience back in 1991 when my lover died of AIDS, and I literally sat and read a Bible by myself, and I was converted by myself with no one to help me. But because I wasn't grounded in a church, I quickly fell out of faith and I fell into the lifestyle, and I lived like the devil for 20 years. So about 10 years ago, I found my way back into a church, and it was a open and affirming church. And what Michael Brown said today resonated with me because he spoke about hyper grace. And this church was so far into hyper grace, it became a hyper disgrace because it got to the point where they had drag queens performing in the pulpit and they were blessing condoms at the end of the service. So I said, I was reading the Bible at the time. I started reading the Bible again, and I started challenging them on these things that they were teaching, and they were not happy with me. So I said, well, I need to make a choice here. It's either the Bible or this church, and I need to find another church. So, thinking I was a gay Christian at the time and sort of following the Matthew Vine's line of reasoning, and God was teaching me to put aside all of these arguments that I was using to defend myself, put aside all the clobber passages, and just read the Bible and look at the simple gospel. And that's what really spoke to me, the simple gospel, and questioning myself, saying, as a gay man, how do I reconcile the seventh commandment? I can't. How do Jesus may have never said anything about homosexuality, but he said a lot about sexual immorality. So as a gay man, how do I define sexual immorality, and by what basis? And these are the things that ultimately got me to look at myself and confess the truth. So I left this church, and I began I'd say in the last 5 years was my desert experience, which was so eloquently discussed today by Deborah Barr, who really sort of pinpointed what my journey has been in the last 5 years. So I guess what I can say to leave you with is, in that desert experience, the end of that experience, God tells us to enter into his rest. And that's what he's been saying to me, and that's what I say to you. Amen. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Connie Moore. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I've heard of most of you over the years. I have to thank Gabrielle Ray Meyer, who gave her testimony. She invited me here this weekend, paid my way as a college student. I'm 61, I'm in college. But anyway, I stand here as a spouse who married a man who was gay. I didn't find out till after we were married and had graduated from Bible college. I found out once my son had been molested by a teenager, our nephew in our family, that there were generational strongholds of males, incest, of the males in my husband's family molesting all the boys, teenagers. And when my son, we found out about my son, my husband's secret of 30 years came out, where he was molested as a 3-year-old. What I got out of this conference that has kept me alive, because this toxic environment escalated until one family member murdered another family member. And spirit of murder went through our family to annihilate our family. I lost both my husband and my son in 2006. And I said, Lord, is this it? And he had me put my hand in his hand and get healing for myself. And the one thing that means the most to me from this conference is Stephen Black's paper on the weapons of spiritual warfare. At 14, I learned Ephesians 6:10 through 18. I didn't know it would save my life over, literally. I tell everybody I'm 61 because I'm so glad to be alive today. And he deposited Gabby into my life to just start helping other people who are coming out of homosexuality. So I thank God for taking all of my tragedies and grief and using them to help others. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrew Rodriguez. I don't have a history of SSA myself, but I am acutely aware of my own sexual brokenness, and God has put a heart for people who deal with these issues in me. And so, brief recap is my life is I started a ministry at my old college for people dealing with sexual issues like this. And I got my start in that through an Exodus ministry. When I was in college, I was an undergraduate intern at Day 7 Ministries in Lancaster. And I went after that internship and I started the ministry at my school that had no services available at the time. So I'd been leading that for like 6 years or 4 years when I started graduate school. And I had a dilemma because I know a lot of people, at least therapists, go into this field after they already have their degree. And so they don't really have anything to share when they're starting the admissions process. But I had to figure out, okay, am I going to try to hide this part about myself and the work I do as I enter graduate school, even though I'm going to a so-called Catholic university, but it was very secular. And I figured, you know what? One day I'm going to stand before God, not the APA. And so I have to be honest as I go into this. And so all during the admissions process and in different class discussions, it would come up. People would talk about Pray the Gay Away or whatever, and I'd be the one, well, I know a little bit about that. And it was an opportunity to share truth. So that time went on. I was in graduate school for 3 years. And 3 years ago, I was at the Restored Hope Network Conference in Lancaster. It was my first time at the conference for Here or Exodus, and I was so excited because sort of doing this work, and I can feel like I'm doing it alone. And so I was so looking forward to the encouragement, especially with being constantly on guard at school. So I was looking forward to this. The day before I got here, I got an email from my school that said, Andrew, the program has become aware that you are providing and advertising services directed at people leaving homosexual lifestyles, healing/recovering from homosexuality, and addressing unwanted same-sex attraction. We are very concerned about this, and we need to discontinue your internship immediately. I was 4 weeks away from graduating, 4 weeks away from finishing up my year-long internship, and then that happened. And met with them after the conference, but I'm so grateful for Restored Hope Network because I didn't know where I'd be to get encouragement. So grateful for the Door Fellowship for sponsoring and hosting the conference that year because it was close enough to where I live that I could be there. And to go to the conference and just be with other people who are in this field, you guys are my heroes, both you ministers as well as you clients who are getting the courage to actually fight this fight. You are my heroes. And so I got to meet a lot of my heroes that weekend. And you guys encouraged me, and you ended up connecting me with others. I got connected with the Alliance. And long story short, what happened is after the school pretty much blacklisted me in the area, they went around to other internship sites to try to get me a new internship. But of course, to every site they went, they told them I was committing ethical violations. And so no place wanted me, so eventually they decided to kick me out of the school. But I was still able to graduate because I had enough credits for the lower degree, and I transferred the rest to another university. That thank God there was a Cairn University accepted me. So, but the joke's on them because they tried to impede me from going into this field, but through their opposition, they just propelled me more into it. And so that's an update for you guys who knew about the story.